Hello, hello. In my endeavor to teach some of the things that I've learned over the last few years, tonight I want to talk about voltage, and I'm going to share from this book called Healing is Voltage by Dr. Jerry Tennant, and it's a really amazing book. I have the 3rd edition, and this is a doctor who, I'm going to see if I can pull up his picture. He had to write this from the perspective of being a pastor, not a doctor, because otherwise he would have lost his license. And he spent, where is it? Right here. For almost 7 years, he slept about 16 hours per day. He had a virus in his brain and in his spleen. And you can see here that he had one of his dogs slept on his head, in his brain, and the other one slept near his spleen. And so I learned about Dr. Jerry Tennant a few years ago when I first started learning about my biocharger, because I knew nothing about voltage. I honestly didn't. I only opened up Covey House at the leading of the Holy Spirit because so many people had taken, and I knew that people were going to need some really serious help to get healed, to detox that from the body. And it's really interesting because it's been a training ground. But of course, the most important thing that anyone could ever do is pray, because Jesus, John the Baptist said, one is coming after me whose sandals I'm not worthy to tie, and he's going to baptize with Holy Spirit and with fire. So that cleansing fire can go through our bodies from the top of our heads to all the way through every single cell, and it can cleanse every single cell and just burn up anything that's not supposed to be in our bodies. And it also says in Ephesians 1 that his name is higher than any other name. So anyway, so if I want to just talking about this briefly, as I was going through this book, I came to understand that everything in life is connected to voltage, that we have a body, we have cells, and when you hit low disease, it's really just like having low voltage. So my phone right now has a red bar, which means that it's getting low on battery, and if it runs out of battery, the phone's not going to work. And that's just how it is with our bodies. So yesterday we talked about frequency, but I want to talk a little bit about voltage. And so there are things that strip voltage from our bodies. And if you've probably seen some of my posts, things like chlorine in your water can strip voltage. Fluoride strips voltage. Medicines strip voltage. Processed foods strip voltage. Coffee, alcohol, soda, and actually standing in front of an air conditioner strips voltage. So if you have something wrong in your body, it says here, once you begin to understand that chronic disease and healing are controlled by voltage, that's why it says healing is voltage. Everything is connected to voltage. So then you have to ask the question, well, how do we get voltage in the body? So you can get voltage by going outside and grounding, and the earth will transfer electrons into you. Now, obviously, God put us on this earth, and he's put things in this earth, like going outside and breathing fresh, clean air is like really incredible. Hugging a tree, being in nature, going on a hike, going up to a mountain and just looking at the landscape, listening to rushing water. Those are all things that absolutely revive me. It says, lead me beside the still waters and restore my soul. So being outside in nature restores me. But when it comes to what you need in order to heal, is you need negative 50 millivolts to repair a cell or to create a new cell. Things that steal voltage are, like I was talking about, chlorine and fluoride. And I also just want to show you something else. So this is in the middle of this book. It's just about here. Okay, this reference list takes up about 20 pages If you want them, go to the website listed above. But this literally is saying the left column is hypothyroid symptoms and the right is fluoride poisoning symptoms. Note they are essentially the same. So we have like pages and pages of diseases, and it's all connected with fluoride poisoning. So, I mean, pages and pages. And so that was one of the things when I read this book, I was like, Lord, give me a way to help people remove fluoride from the body. Okay, so the key thing that I learned when I started reading this book is that the thing that I didn't know is that electrically reduced water, or 7.88 pH, is the equivalent to negative 50 millivolts. And so suddenly I was now aware of why so many people have so many benefits when they start drinking Kangen water, which is my number one business. The Lord told me to bring Kangen into my life. I had 3 burning bush experiences. So I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about why Kangen water, or why electrically reduced water, is so beneficial. Now, as you know, our bodies are about 70% water. And so the water that we put into our body is very important, and not all water is created equal. So you could have, you could drink tap water, which has not got any kind of filter on it. A lot of people go for reverse osmosis because they want to strip everything out of the water. But there's actually some complications that can arise when you do that, because water will actually steal minerals when it's going through a body. So if you are drinking reverse osmosis water, which has not had minerals added back, it's literally going to steal minerals from your body. And so a lot of people end up having dental issues or other issues when they install a reverse osmosis system. So that's not something that I would recommend. I do think it's really important to include a water filtration system, because Kangen water has a filter, but in Japan, they haven't been putting poisons and astrazine and pharmaceuticals and you name it in the water. So it's very important to have a filtration system and to have an ionizer, which will then add that molecular hydrogen into the water. Now, a lot of people talk about hydrogen water at this point, and there are these bottles you can buy, and honestly, you can do that. It might be a very inexpensive way to consume molecular hydrogen. But when I got involved with this 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, I just went with the industry leader. That was the one that the Lord highlighted to me. I had 3 burning bush experiences, and so that's what I know about. There are lots of others coming onto the market now, and they all try and compete with Kangen, but we are the industry leader. It is a Japanese medical grade device. But so let's talk about, so you could also drink bottled water. Now we know that a lot of bottled water is really just, it's just water that is basically bottled. So you're paying a fortune for not something that's actually not that great. And it has plastics in it that leach into the water. So that's another thing that doesn't make bottled water too much of a good choice. And then there's alkaline water. And very often when you hear the word alkaline, it means usually, unless it's coming from a natural spring, alkaline means that they are adding ingredients. So they're adding the equivalent of something like baking soda to the water to increase the pH of the water, which I wouldn't personally want to do drink that on an ongoing basis. So I personally love electrically reduced water. This is the type of water that God made in 6 places on the planet where people live to be longer, live to longer ages, I can't even say it. Live longer, let's just say that. And that's because the water has a high mineral content, and it's got the equivalent of being struck by lightning. And so all of that energy from nature is going into the water. Now, and it's also creating molecular hydrogen. So a Kangen machine, what it does is it connects, it's a one-time investment. You purchase it. There's recently we learned of somebody who's been drinking this water for 40 years, so his machine is still going strong. And the best thing that these machines do is they deal with inflammation, dehydration, and acidity in the body, which we know are the causes of disease. So inflammation is one of the properties of the water is molecular hydrogen, which I'm going to talk about. For dehydration, the water is restructured. It's called microclustered, where they're making the big water molecules. If there's 15 to 20 inside, they're becoming really small in size. And then acidity is where you obviously have a very low pH. Hi, Susie. And so Kangen water is going to increase the pH of your body so that you're no longer in an acidic state. So, but let's talk about molecular hydrogen, because this is really what is being referred to as the miracle molecule. And what happens is when water, as we all know from school, when we went to school, we were taught things like the molecular structure of water. We weren't taught about our genders. So H2O, what happens is it goes over 8 titanium plates, and they're covered in platinum, and there's positive plates and negative plates. And the magnesium, the potassium, the calcium, and the hydrogen, those attached or are drawn towards the negative plates, and those come out through the drinking hose. And you get 2 hydrogen atoms that form together, and that is called molecular hydrogen. And molecular hydrogen is the smallest antioxidant, which is so small that it will actually pass the blood-brain barrier. Now, as I've already mentioned, these machines mimic what God has done in nature. And disease comes in our body because, as a result, generally because of free radicals. So, you know, if you cut an apple and you just leave an apple out, it's going to turn brown, and that is called oxidative. That's called oxidation. And so in your body, when you have, it's kind of the aging process. So free radicals, what they do is we're exposed to them through sugar, cigarettes, medications, tap waters, pesticides. So all these types of things cause free radicals. And remember, there were some train wrecks recently that, well, about a year ago, that caused a lot of, they were throwing a lot of really harmful chemicals into the and free radicals cause inflammation. They cause oxidative stress. So what happens when you drink Kangen water is the molecular hydrogen actually donates an electron to a cell that has been damaged by a free radical, because free radicals just steal electrons from cells, and they take a cell that's stable and then make it unstable. So when you drink molecular hydrogen, it's literally donating an electron, a hydrogen, to a cell that's been damaged. And these things are called, I think they're called hydroxyls. I just have to make sure that that's the right name of it. It doesn't matter if it isn't, but so it goes after the free radicals and then so it will turn a cell that's been damaged by free radicals. It almost really turns it back into water, and then the body can flush it out. So these, it is called a hydroxyl radical. It's called OH, and it causes damage in the cell. So molecular hydrogen scavenges for free radicals, reduces inflammation, increases energy production at the cellular level, and it's made through the process of electrolysis. So the other thing, hello, Mary. So the other thing that that I had addressed was the dehydration. So it's because when you drink regular water, if you just guzzle it down, you're going to feel bloated in your tummy, and there'll be that swashing effect, and so you'll feel bloated because the water's literally just kind of sitting in your stomach. Well, when the water goes through the process of electrolysis, it actually changes the structure of the water so that it's microclustered. And what that means is that when you start drinking, that immediately starts going into every single cell. So instead of going right down into your stomach and just sitting there, the water molecule is small enough, it's become microclustered so that it can literally fit into the cell opening. So the moment the water touches your lips, you're instantly receiving the benefits and your body starts to hydrate. Now, Tom Brady, who, as we know, was a high performer for many, many years, he described himself as the most hydrated person on earth. And he used to say that because he used to drink Kangen water, and he still drinks Kangen water. And then the last thing is obviously acidity, and we've already addressed that. We know that if we're drinking anything above 8.5 pH, that is changing our bodies to be in an alkalized state, which is a healthier state. Most cancer and diseases are connected with acidity. Okay, so in terms of that, so that's kind of like a little overview. The big aha moment for me was when I was reading Healing is Voltage, and I realized that 7.88 pH is the equivalent of negative 50 millivolts, and that's when things really started to connect the dots. So this at the top here, it's probably too small for you to see, but it says that's where you make new cells, negative 50 millivolts, and the cell pH is 7.88. So if you are drinking 8.5 pH, you have enough voltage to repair a cell, to make new cells, and that's why the body starts to heal. Ooh, sorry about that. Okay, so with that, there are some other books that I wanted to highlight. One thing, this is why our words are so important. You've probably heard of this book. This is by Masaru Emoto, and it's called The Hidden Messages of Water. And what he did was he actually took words and he put words like joy or peace, and he would tape them to water crystals, and these water, and it would crystallize and it would form beautiful crystals. But for words that were things like hate, let me see if I can find some. Now I can't find any of the ugly ones. Where's the ugly ones? Oh, well, this is showing you the harmful effect of electromagnetic waves. It starts here and then it's looking destructive right here. Anyway, it's a really good book, but this is why it's so important that we speak words of blessing. That is what heavy metal music does to your body, does to your cells. Remember, you're 70% water. Really fascinating book. It's Beethoven's 5th Century. So see the difference between that and the heavy metal music. Water carries memory. Okay, so then tying in a little bit with music, this is the book I recommended yesterday. It's by Michael Terrell. It's called The Sound of Healing. He also is the first person that introduced me to Masaru's work. We have this is actually really good right here. See this page? This says love and gratitude. This is evil. This is truth. This is you fool. So be careful what you're speaking. This is peace. And this is you disgust me. So when we speak negative words over our bodies, over ourselves, over others, and knowing that we're 70% water, you do not want to be saying those type of things because it will manifest in your body. So what this gentleman did, and I told you that I always tune my keyboard to be A equals 444. It was Michael Goebbels, who was Hitler's propaganda man, who was taken on board to help change the key for standard tuning of A to be A equals 440. This is a picture of him right there. And he, I don't want to go into a lot of detail about this. It's a really good book. Just go get it. But it's he named Chancellor in Hitler's will. He remained with Hitler to the end. The day after Hitler's suicide, Goebbels and his wife killed themselves and poisoned their 6 children. Is the light bulb coming on? Are you seeing the correlation between his mentality and that of today's political agenda? Is it any coincidence that a Nazi, anti-Semitic, outright hater of the Jews would push for the tuning of A equals 440 hertz that facilitates social unrest, agitation, and friction? at the same time replacing harmonic life-giving tunings such as 417, 432 hertz, and especially 444 hertz, which was given to the Israelites by God himself. Hold on. Chew. Oh my goodness. Oh. Wow. Okay. So when they pushed for the tuning of instruments to be A equals 440, it creates social unrest, agitation, and friction. And what they used to do was they used to play music tuned to A equals 440 before Hitler would come on and speak. And then when Hitler would come on and speak, they would cut the music and suddenly it would be like peaceful. Ah, can you imagine? So you're hearing like for me, it's if I get in the car and there's just regular radio playing, because I now only listen to music that is tuned to A equals 444. And so if I listen to other music, it is very irritating to me because my soul, my spirit, I'm just used to listening to the healing tones. So anyway, what they did was they looked at the 6 solfeggio tones, and these are, when you tune to A equals 444, 528 hertz is the equivalent of C, 417 hertz is G sharp, 396 hertz is G. And so then he created some incredible music, which were just on those hertz, and depending on what you're trying to, I don't want to say heal in your body, but it can address those kind of roots. Okay, so then we want to go back to Kangen water, which is, I know I've kind of gone from voltage to water to sound as well, but I want to highlight a few other books because there's somebody today asked me a question and they had heard, somebody had said like, oh, molecular hydrogen only lasts for 20 minutes, and it doesn't. Like, yes, the ideal is that you get your water right from the tap, and that's, they're going to have, it's going to be loaded with molecular hydrogen. There's something called an ORP meter, which stands for oxidation reduction potential. And so when you put it in nearly every other drink, it's going to be positive, which means it's not going to reduce your oxidative stress. It's actually going to increase it. But when you drink Kangen water, it actually has a negative response, which means that it actually its potential to reduce oxidation is, it does that. Sorry, I'm not explaining it very well. There's another really great book. So molecular hydrogen in a Kangen is going to last, depending on which machine you get, from about 24 to 48 hours. But ideally, you want to drink it right from the tap. So another book that I really recommend is called Killing Cancer, Not People. And in this book, I got this a few years ago. At the back of the book, there are quite a number of testimonies pertaining to Kangen water. People who were sent home to die, and they started drinking the water. And their lives changed. So we have to be very careful what we share online, but I would just highly recommend that you go and learn about what this water can do when you start drinking it. There's a really great quote in here. I'm just going to see if I can find it because I highlighted most of the pages, but maybe I cannot find it. If you are wanting, okay, 1 glass of ionized water can hydrate your body better than gallons of any other water. Ionized water alkalizes your body better than any other method. Eating 100% organic and raw vegetarian diet. Cancer, obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, arthritis, kidney, renal disease, cardiovascular disease are all slowed, stopped, and in most circumstances reversed when drinking ionized water. Ionized water can flush out toxins and poisons out of your body better and with considerably less negative effects than any other detox protocol. And that's why And those statements come from detoxifynow.com. I don't know if that website is still there. Ionized water has millions of hydroxyl ions per glass. No other water has this incredible benefit. Hydroxyl ions neutralize cancer-causing and destructive free radicals in the body. I would refer to that as molecular hydrogen. So anyway, this is a really good book, and I think it's very encouraging when you can read this and learn that there are other options to the things that your doctor will tell you about. Another really great book is called The Enzyme Factor, and this is by Dr. Shinya. This is the doctor who created the colonoscopy, and he recommends that all of his patients go on 2 to 3 quarts of Kangen water every single day. So another great book that is promoting electrically reduced water and specifically Kangen water. And then this is another book it says The Confessions of a Skeptical Physician. This is about a gentleman who his patients were beginning to tell him about this water. He kind of blew it off, and then eventually connects the dots, puts 2 and 2 together, and now he's written a book about the benefits, and he's highlighted, he talks about microclustering, and he answers a lot of really great questions in that as well. So the only other thing that I want to say is that when you purchase one of these machines, that they do have the equivalent of, well, they have 7 different types of water from 2.5 pH up to 11.5 pH. So there are certain things that you never need to bring into your home again. So that makes it a very beneficial product to have in your home. Sorry. Because of the, because it will eliminate the need to purchase things like laundry detergent or mouthwash or cleaners. So 2.5 pH is the same as hypochlorous acid. When my son had his wisdom tooth out a couple of weeks ago, he didn't use any any medication of any kind, but he rinsed his mouth out with 2.5 pH. 2.5 pH is the same as hypochlorous acid, which is more effective than bleach, and it also sterilizes. In Japan, hospitals use it to sterilize their surgical equipment. It's also used as mouthwash, and then you would rinse with a higher pH. If you have any type of wound, you can spray 2.5 on it. It will remove rust stains. So there's lots of different uses for 2.5 pH. Then you have 6.0, that's beauty water, that's facial toner, and you can spray that in your hair when you have washed your hair, and you can condition it, and it will get all the tangles out. I wish I'd known about that when I was doing my daughter's hair when she was young, because I used to use this pink spray bottle from Walmart that I really wished I wasn't spraying those chemicals in her hair. Then you have 7.0 water, which is for medication or if you're making baby formula. And then you get into your drinking water, which is your 8.5, 9, and 9.5. Now, when you start with that, you're going to start with 8.0, which is, 8.5, which is where everybody starts. You're going to drink that for a couple of weeks, because if you go immediately to 9.5, you're going to probably have a detox reaction, because it's going to, that molecular hydrogen is going to go right to your brain and you'll get a headache. So we recommend that you start slowly and work your way up from 8.5. You're going to have this machine for the next 40 years at least, and as long as you look after it well, and then you're going to work your way up like every 2 weeks or so. So you can use the water in the kitchen. You can use it for cooking. You can use it, so 11.5 pH is your laundry soap. It's a degreaser, and it will also remove the pesticides that are on our vegetables. So there's lots and lots of ways to use this water, and all the different, you can clean off your berries, you can clean off mushrooms, you can clean and store root vegetables. Then we've got how you can clean and use this water in your home using different bathrooms, laundry, kitchens, bedrooms, and then just some physical protocols that you can use for, actually, so a friend of mine who purchased a machine from me, he was a chiropractor and he had a skin issue, and tried almost everything for a year and could not get rid of it. And he started using a protocol using Kangen, and within like 10 days, it was totally gone. So that is my little introduction to voltage. Again, just connecting the dots, why we need 7.88 pH or negative 50 millivolts in order to repair a cell or to create a new cell. All disease is low voltage, and that's why in order to heal, you need to bring voltage back in to the body. That's why what we do at Covey House is we have lots of tools that basically increase your voltage. So we talked about that yesterday. You can use an essential oil that will increase your voltage. You can drink Kangen water that will increase your voltage. You can use a frequency tool such as the terahertz device that resonates at the same frequency as a healthy cell and liquefies and eradicates anything that is abnormal in the body, including mutant cells, including clogging. So that is the tool that the Lord told me to get to help people who've taken the shot. Also, I have the biocharger that has over 1,000 recipes that have different frequencies, and there's different stages in each recipe. So if you want to target parasites, for example, which are often, now we're hearing that a lot of cancer is connected to parasites. So when we do that on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. and we run Purify Recover, which is a program that will eliminate viruses, bacteria, fungus and parasites. Then we run heavy metal detox because parasites feed off heavy metals. So you want to make sure that you are removing those heavy metals from your body. Then we run a parasite program that will literally annihilate parasites. It just kind of like disintegrate. And then we usually top it off with lymph, liver, kidney to help support the lymphatic system, which is how your body, of course, gets rid of a lot of this waste. So I think that's everything. If you have questions, please reach out to me and let me know. Yeah, that's it for tonight's training on voltage. Have a great night, and yeah, reach out if you have any questions or comment below. Make sure you put an @ClaireRoseHoward sign, and if I don't respond to you, then please send me a message as well. Have a great night, everyone. Oh, if you want more information about anything that I shared, let me just say one more thing. So The Sound of Healing is a really great book that's talking about the effects of sound and the effects of our words on water, and the importance of listening to music that is tuned to A equals 444. So highly recommend this. Michael Terrell wrote Whole Tunes music, which is out there. The Hidden Messages of Water, and what happens when you speak words over water, or when music is played, the difference between heavy metal music and what's that? Bud Powell, Cleopatra's Dream. So the difference and imagine what worship music does. The really great book called Healing is Voltage that will just rewrite everything that you've ever been told by your doctor, because you'll learn that actually pharmaceuticals and medication do nothing to actually help you get better. They're only putting a band-aid on it. And right here, we learn that healing is voltage, and actually meds do actually steal electrons, strip voltage from your body, so you will not heal if you're taking medications. You won't be able to deal with the root. And then Dr. Shinya, who created the colonoscopy, and he won't treat his patients unless they're drinking 2 to 3 quarts of Kangen water. Another great book, Killing Cancer, Not People. And this highlights a lot of ways that you can kill cancer, not people, using lots of different types of tools. And again, electrically reduced water is in there as well. If you want to go look up specifically how electrically reduced water might help you, you can go to pubmed.gov and put in ERW, which stands for electrically reduced water, and then the ailment that you're trying, and then you can see if there's any research studies. There are over 1,000 research studies on electrically reduced water. Not all water is created equal, and I can't vouch for any of the hydrogen bottles that are out there. And then we have the Confessions of a Skeptical Physician, who's specifically speaking about Kangen water in this book as well. So on that note, I hope that you have found this informational. If you have friends that may benefit from the water, please share this video with them. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great night, everybody. God bless.